If you're looking for ways to save more money, then this is for you. But if you were expecting a video on how to create a detailed budget, this isn't it. I'm not gonna make you skip the daily Starbucks or whatever your vice is, and we're not breaking out any spreadsheets today. This is actually gonna be a really short video, so make sure you watch it all the way through. I'm gonna lay out 3 simple but super powerful steps that you can take to literally double your savings. If that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. The single fastest way to cut down your expenses and increase your savings is to focus on what's called the big 3 expenses. These 3 expenses actually account for more than 50% of your monthly average budget. So if you can make any improvements in these areas, they're gonna have the largest effect on your finances. The first and largest expense that every American has, on average, 35% of their expenses go to, you guessed it, housing. But Ben, I can't do anything about needing a place to live. Well, you kinda can. There's a few different ways you can cut down your housing expense that aren't gonna end up with you sleeping on a park bench. For example, you could just move to somewhere with cheaper rent, or if that's not in the cards, you could look at buying a property, maybe a cheap property with a lower mortgage payment. At least that way you're building equity in your home. But if those aren't an option, you could pick up a roommate, or better yet, a few roommates. We call this house hacking. This is one of the best ways for someone who's young and doesn't have much money to offset those costs. Let's say you live in a 3-bedroom house, the rent is $2,000, and so you pick up 2 more roommates, you charge them $500 each. You just took your housing payment from $2,000 down to $1,000, and wow, you just cut your payment in half. So it's as simple as that. If you want to get even better results, you can try something like Airbnb, rent out a room or a segment of your property, and that's a great way to command top dollar if you're willing to part with some of your space. If you want to get really extreme, go the RV or the living in a van method and just have an adventure for a few years. Any one of these hacks will help you lower your housing costs. All right, expense number 2 is transportation. We drive a lot, and if you haven't been paying attention, gas is really expensive right now, so it's never been more costly to drive, unless you have a Tesla, although your monthly payment is probably pretty hefty that way either. So a few things you can do to lower your transportation costs. One is actually move closer to where you're going to work, or better yet, you could work remotely. But if working remotely isn't in the cards, if you live within 5, 10, 15 minutes of where you live, you could bike there, walk there, you could carpool with other people. It might be cheaper literally to rent a car than to own one yourself. Or maybe get a used hybrid. That's another great example. I ride a motorcycle and I get great gas mileage using that 75% of the year. There are so many ways to lower your cost of transportation, just depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice. Okay, finally, expense number 3 is food. This is about 8% of our budget, and yeah, we all need food. We all love food. I love to eat. I don't know about you, but the problem is food can be expensive, and it's getting more expensive each and every year. I want to keep this simple because I think you can save a lot in the area of food if you keep it simple. So here are 3 things you need to do. 1, eat out less. You know you should. You don't. You probably still won't after watching this, but you should eat out less, right? It really adds up. Number 2, plan out your meals. Do a little work. Learn to cook at home. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of thought. Number 3, buy in bulk. Go somewhere like Costco or Sam's Club. Go to, if you want meat, go to like Aldi's or something, and just look for those big savings. Plan ahead of time. You'll be all right. My wife and I have implemented these 3 things, and we spend about $250 every month between the 2 of us on groceries, eating out combined. So if we can do it, I know you can do it too. To be clear, it took us a while to figure everything out when it comes to finding the right foods at the right prices, the right locations, everything that goes into planning out meals, getting that budget down. So I actually made a video on our best money saving tips for grocery shopping. Click on my right to go watch that one. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you next Friday.